Hi everybody, it's me again, your old pal Ashley, and I'm a bit of a sadly today because if you haven't noticed, everything is awful all the time, always forever. What I need is some happy show about cute animals all working together to accomplish a goal. I know, the Animals of Farthing Wood. I used to watch that all the time as a kid. It has the funny weasel and the snarky owl. That just might be what the doctor ordered for old Ashley. It is based on a children's book series by Colin Dann. Good old Collie Wally. Collie Mustard. Colin. I'm sure he wrote a very nice, suitable, child-friendly, it's horrible, it's hard times and murder the entire way. Kids' books did not mess around back then, and neither did Colin goddamn Dan. His books were adapted into 3 seasons of tragedy, but for old Ashley's mental health, let's take it easy and just do the first season. If you, the person watching this, probably just my mom, and you haven't watched the show, then do yourselves a favour and give it a go. It's an amazing cartoon and should be watched fresh and unspoiled. The DVDs are in my room, Mom, so help yourself, but don't look in the drawers. I'm just minding those for a friend. I don't even know what they are. Farthing Wood. This is the home of our large ensemble cast of animals. People, being the scum we are, have destroyed their natural habitat and even filled in their pond, which, not going to lie, super dick move. As a bunch of animals are talking about the situation, a fox arrives and tells them that it's time for drastic measures and calls for a meeting of all animals. They arrange to all meet in Badger's Hole, which sounds like a trap but isn't because Fox is sound. They need to come together now and put their differences aside to deal with a much bigger threat. Boy, we sure could learn a thing or two from these animals. At the meeting, they try to come up with solutions to the crisis.
Couldn't we try digging for water?
God damn it, Molly, that's your answer for everything. Just sit down. Embarrassing yourself. Just as the meeting is heating up, an old toad crashes the party. He had recently been taken away by humans, but managed to escape and make his way back to his home. And on his journey, he discovered a nature reserve called White Deer Park, a place where they could all be safe. Our plucky animal heroes decide that would be the perfect place to migrate to, and they choose Fox as their leader. They all swear a solemn oath of mutual protection as the episode ends. Personally, I'm a sucker for plots like this, where the goal is you are here and you must get over there, and what makes them work is the struggle for survival and, oh my god, the struggle. The trials and tribulations the animals go through are often very mundane, like crossing the road. But when you have hedgehogs, newts, and a sassy snake, crossing the road is a giant feat. The animals must make their way through many situations like this, from getting through a suburban neighborhood unseen to being lost in a farm that's using illegal pesticides. They are always in constant peril. The journey isn't the only issue they face, as the animals themselves are often their own biggest liability. Now, I don't want to be accused of being smallist, but the smaller animals are a constant problem. They are always trying to rebel and break the oath, with one of the bulls constantly rebel rousing the other smaller animals against the bigger ones. At one stage, Fox straight up just threatens to kill them if they don't cop on a little and start moving. Honestly, he should have given them this tough love sooner. To be fair to the smaller animals though, they do have a lot of extra struggles to deal with on this long journey. Watching it back to back as I recently did, I noticed how consistent the show is, with the smaller animals struggling to keep up with the larger ones. They are constantly falling behind and forcing the bigger animals to slow down. It's not a one episode issue, it is always there in the background and becomes the final big problem before the end, when they are all separated after fleeing a church. The smaller animals also, on at least 2 occasions, break their oath to horrifying consequences. It's done very subtly, but anytime a smaller animal decides they will not continue to the park with the others, like they swore in the first episode, they or their children are horribly murdered. First is the newts, who decide they can't survive the journey and want to stay at the pond they found. Badger is against them splitting up, but he eventually relents. At first you think, okay, so maybe this is the formula. A lot of animals will find nice homes on the way and break apart, but nope. Collie Monster himself makes sure that they have a fiery death. You don't see the bodies, but it's pretty clear they died. Na 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 na. Oh my god, what is this show's problem? Later, after some mice get themselves in the family way, some of the smaller animals decide to stay right where they are, forsaking their oath, and are rewarded by having their babies stolen, murdered, and thrown onto thorns. Nice. The Collie Monster was not playing games when he wrote these stories. They are chock full of infanticide. There are 2 deaths though that are real standouts. I warned you at the start, and I'm warning you now. You should really watch this show before I do an Ashley and just spoil the whole damn thing for you. But here we go. The first one everyone knows about is the pheasants. Frankly, they are an unpleasant couple, as the male pheasant is very foppish and rather rude to his wife.
Not late, are we, Badger? Only you know what the females are like. Takes so long to get ready, eh?
It's always my fault.
Of course.
She is very put down upon, but later starts to give him a bit of lip back, so I guess she gains some confidence on the journey.
Are you alright, dear?
I'll never be able to turn my back on anyone again.
That will be a nice change.
Later in an episode where they rest at a farm, she doesn't want to wake her foppish husband, so goes on lookout by herself and is shot by the farmer. The rest of the animals manage to escape, except for Adder, who gets left behind. When they realise they forgot her, an upset and defeated Mr. Pheasant volunteers to go and find her. But what he finds instead is something so awful. He sees his wife dead, cooked, and cooling down on a windowsill. I mean, obviously he starts to cry because you would, but this alerts the farmer, and despite Adder's efforts to warn him, poor old Mr. Pheasant gets shot as well. Jesus Christ. George R. R. Martin should really start taking some notes. That is the most famous death in the show, but I think I found this next one much more upsetting. Mr. and Mrs. Hedgehog. Oh god, just their cute little names makes me real sadly. Remember when I said a road was a danger to them? Well, a busy freeway is practically suicide. They haven't been the most prominent characters in the show, but they've always been there right from the start. And Mr. Hedgehog is constantly telling his wife not to panic and curl up. Well, here they are, having come so far. White Deer Park is just the other side of the motorway.
It will have to be a very long gap.
Yeah, I'll second that.
I wonder what White Deer Park looks like.
I don't know. Lots of white deer, I suppose. Grass, streams, that sort of thing.
Sounds nice.
Hope we make it.
I'll second that. Come on, dear.
I can't.
Please.
Don't curl up.
Please.
Whatever you do, dearest, don't curl up.
No.
I'm sorry, I just need a minute. God damn, I hate you, cauliflower, you cute critter killing. Continuing on, I have to say, even with all the death and all the struggle, when they make it to White Deer Park, as Mrs. Bowl gives her great speech and they are greeted by the great white stag, it is really uplifting and moving. We have watched their struggle every step of the way, all the ups and many downs. To see them finally pull through and accomplish their goal is incredibly satisfying. And I'm sure that the worst is finally behind them. Right? Right? This show has a very big cast, but they are all very well written and portrayed. My favourite is Adder, a sassy little snake who scares most of the little animals. Her speech pattern is heavy with sibilance because, of course it is, and she always threatens the other animals, but you know what? She's as good as gold, really.
Did someone mention moi?
There's also lovely Badger, who is just lovely and looks after the second worst animal on the show, Moley, by carrying him on his back. Speaking of carrying things on his back, Fox puts up with so much guff from these other animals, and they do not appreciate the work he puts in. Other than lovely Badger, that is. In the middle of the season, he nearly drowns trying to save the panicking rabbits, of which one is the worst character on the show, and Fox ends up separated for an episode or two. I love the voice actor for him, but the first 2 episodes he doesn't seem to have the voice quite down.
Doesn't look too good, does it, old son?
It's a lot more London Cockney-ish, I guess, but by episode 3 he has it down pat. Apparently, the Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, does the voice for Fox in the American version, so there you go. Bit of a fun fact for you. Other animals that stand out are Owl and Weasel. Owl is very smart and wise, and in between her snarky complaints she can always think of a solution to their problems. Later, her and Adder become besties, and the snarky duo constantly mock Fox and Badger. You think it's building to some sort of owl leadership coup, but no, they just like having a bit of a goss. It's kinda cute really. Then there is Weasel. Weasel is a troll. She makes me laugh though. It doesn't matter how dire or tragic the situation is, she will laugh at the misfortune of everyone. There's also Old Toad, who leads him to the park, who is a rather chirpy gentleman, and he must fight against his own homing instincts to go back to Farthing Wood so he can lead them on to a brighter future. While they lose a lot of animals on their journey, they make some great new mates, like Whistler, who really becomes invaluable for helping the smaller animals. If only he could have helped poor Mr. and Mrs. Hedgehog. They also meet a bit of fun for Fox as he falls for a fix and he meets while he was separated from the others. She doesn't just give the farm away, however, as Fox has to prove himself worthy of her, which he does when he saves her from a hunt. One thing I really like about this show is how the animals slowly become famous. As it goes on, news of their journey begins to spread all over the land.
Mixed bunch, aren't you? Huh? That lot from Farthing Wood, are you?
The crows know all about them, and I'm guessing spread their story even further. When they finally make it to the park, the Great Stag knows all about them and is there to greet them and praise them for their incredible accomplishment. This fame continues to spread and has a major impact on new characters in Season 2, as some are jealous of Fox and others try, but ultimately fail to escape his shadow. The show itself is a real looker. It has beautiful watercolour backgrounds and great animation. It's not Watership Down standards, but for TV it's very nice. They do all the usual cost-cutting tricks to keep production price down, but it's not that noticeable unless you really look for it. The animals all move in a realistic way to how they should for the most part, and it's not until Season 3 when they become much more anthropomorphized, which is generally regarded by fans as a mistake. The music and, again, the watercolour backgrounds of the show are just so good and they really help to sell the atmosphere of the show. Well, that was Season 1 of the amazing Animals of Farthing Wood. I'll get around to Season 2 some other day when I'm less sadly, or more sadly, we'll see, but... Boy, I sure did say a thing or two about a thing or two. Who knows what I might say next? Could be something good. Only one way to find out, and that's by liking and subscribing. Go on, you know you want to.